Welcome to RPM with Scott Hunter, revving up the renewal, purpose, and mission in your life, where we're all about living the gospel in real life through prayer, practice, and intentional growth. So let's dive into ways to deepen your faith, find your God-given purpose, and live out that mission. Let's get this journey started.
Let's talk about purpose. If renewal is about being with Jesus, then purpose is about understanding why He's called you to follow Him. One of my favorite verses on this is Ephesians 2:10. For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. You know, I love this verse because it's personal. It tells us that God didn't just save us and leave us to figure things out on our own. He created each of us with intention, with gifts, with abilities, with a unique role in His kingdom. And that's purpose. It's knowing who you are in Christ and living out that life He designed for you uniquely. So what exactly do we mean by purpose? I wanted us to take some time as we move into this idea of RPM, because this is a huge part of what we do. Purpose is about discovering why God created you, how He gifted you, and what He calls you to do in His story. And here's the key. Purpose isn't just about what you do. It's about who you become. God is doing this in us. In Romans 8:29, Paul says that God's ultimate goal is for us to be conformed to the image of His Son. That's purpose at its core. To become more like Jesus so that everything we do flows out of that relationship with Him. Now, this is super important, and it's one area of our life that many don't even know. They're still scraping around in the dark. What is my purpose? Why am I here? You know, I'll be honest. There was a time when I thought purpose was all about my job. If I could figure out what God wanted me to do, then I'd be set. But over the years, I've realized that purpose is so much bigger than a career or a title. You know, I remember praying, God, what do you want me to do? And you may have prayed that same prayer. And what He showed me wasn't a list of tasks, which is really relieving. It was a call to draw closer to Him. That was the foundation of it. He reminded me that my primary purpose is to be His. Did you hear that? That's His primary purpose, is for me to be His. Fully, completely His. Everything else flows from that. So if you're feeling unsure about your purpose, start there. Start by asking, who is God calling me to become? Because when we focus on being, the doing starts to take care of itself. At least that's my experience. And as I look at the Bible, that seems to be the case too. You know, the Bible is full of stories of people discovering their God-given purpose. You know, think about Moses in Exodus 3. When God called Moses to lead the Israelites out of Egypt, Moses didn't feel qualified. He said, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh? But God didn't focus on Moses' qualifications. He focused on His presence, God's presence. He said, I will be with you. God was telling him, this is how it's going to work. I'm going to be doing the work. Or think about Peter. You know, in Matthew 16:18, Jesus tells Peter, you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church. Peter wasn't perfect, right? Far from it. But Jesus saw who Peter could become through him, through Jesus. That's the beauty of purpose. God sees more in us than we see in ourselves. So why does purpose matter? Well, because when we know who we are in Christ, which is the most important thing, it changes everything. It changes the way we see our work, the way we see our relationships, the way we even see our struggles. Here's an analogy I want you to think about. Imagine you're driving without a destination. You don't know where you're going. You might end up somewhere, but chances are you'll waste a lot of time and energy along the way, right? Purpose gives us destination. It helps us focus on what really matters and avoiding getting caught up in distractions, because the life around us that we walk in has plenty of distractions. Now, let's get practical. How do we actually discover our God-given purpose? Here are 3 steps to help you get started. I think they'll help you out. First, spend time in prayer and reflection. You said, yes, God. You've already said that several times. It's going to be reoccurring because we want to go to God. If He's the one that made us the way He wanted us to be, we need to go to Him. And we want to ask God to reveal His purpose for our life. Psalms 139, 23 and 24 says, search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me and lead me in the way everlasting. And I want to take time to listen to that kind of guidance. Number 2 is I want to identify the gifts and passions that I've been given. What are you naturally good at? What brings you joy? God often uses our talents and our passions as points of things that point us to our purpose. For example, if you love teaching, well, that might be it. That may be what you want to do. If you love studying the Bible, those things. Number 3 is seek wise counsel. Proverbs 15 says this: plans fail with lack of counsel. So talking to trusted friends, mentors, spiritual people in your life that you trust, this would be a great start. Just the start, right? It'll be a job. It'll be work that you are seeking God and journeying with God to show you. But you're doing it intentionally. So let me ask you, what's one step you can take this week to move closer to discovering your purpose? Maybe it's spending time in prayer, asking God to reveal what He's calling you to do. Maybe it's reaching out to someone who knows you well, and you can ask them, what do you think? What do you see in me? What do you see in me that God might want to use me with or use me for? Take time to reflect on your gifts, your passions, and the ways God has worked in your life up to this point. And purpose isn't always revealed in one big moment. It's often discovered step by step. And as we follow Jesus and trust Him to guide us, He will reveal those things to us. So we've talked about renewal. We've talked about purpose. Renewal is about being with Jesus, and purpose is about discovering who we are in Him. But there's one more step in this journey, mission. Because once we know who we are in Christ, He calls us to live that out in this world. And that's what we'll explore